Welcome back, ethicists. What I'm going to do for you today is extend some of the discussion at the end of my last video to move us out of a theory of what might be good and into a theory of what might be right. In the previous video, what I tried to do is explain basically in the terms offered by John Stuart Mill and other classical utilitarians how an analysis of human action can deliver us a theory of the good, which is not subjective, but is objective and shared and has all of the reasons we need to believe that it's true already built into it. Asking a question like, for instance, what's so good about happiness is confused on Mill's account. It's a question that doesn't make any sense. Nobody needs to know why happiness is good. A better question is, which are the things that are going to lead to it? And so that last question there, the things that are going to lead us to happiness, ends up being one of the more important questions that ethicists need to give an answer to. And already you can guess how the utilitarian is going to answer. So if one of the key questions for the ethicist is which actions are right, then we can see exactly how the utilitarian is going to respond. So let's take a look at sort of an unfortunate situation and build an answer out of that. Imagine you're in one of these sort of infamous cases where you find yourself a sad and trapped bystander holding a little switch in control of a train car. So the brakes are out and it's rushing forward and it's going to hit 5 people who just can't possibly get out of the way. You have the ability to avoid their deaths by pulling a little switch that moves the train onto another track. However, the track that you would move it to also has someone on it, in this case, one person who cannot possibly get out of the way. Presumably what you'd like to know is, well, what should I do? And you know already that what I'm going to say is, well, you should do the right thing and you shouldn't do the wrong thing. But then the next question is, of course, well, what the heck is that in such a case? If we think back to what I suggested last time, one way that we might re-ask the question is this. Instead of asking what the right thing to do is, just ask, well, which thing would produce the most good, given the information that we have, which is always limited in these cases. Whatever good looks like, it's going to be hard to explain how it might be that killing more people would produce more good, unless the situation with these 5 and this one person were like very, very specific and we had a lot of information about it. It seems like in most cases, the way to produce the most good would be to preserve as many lives as possible so that each of those lives could experience as much good as each one could. So maximizing happiness may just be maximizing lives saved. And this probably tracks sort of a general intuition that you have. We see it maybe play out most strongly in like the field of medicine. If a bunch of people come into the ER and it's impossible to save all their lives because hands are short, then, well, at minimum, we should save as many as we can. And this definitely seems to track certain kinds of utilitarian reasons. So there is the basic utilitarian hypothesis. Doing what is right just is doing what's good. If a good reason to do something is that it maximizes the good, then it seems like cases like this, where we know which thing would maximize the good, that thing is the one that we have the best reason to do, and as a result, that's the right thing to do. So here, the right thing to do might just be pull the switch and cause the death of one person who can't possibly get out of the way. Studies done by moral psychologists suggest that most people at least think that this is the right thing to do, and maybe even think that that's what they would do if they were in that situation. Still, you might be a little uncomfortable with this possibility, and what that means is a little bit unclear. Does your discomfort about the idea of pulling the switch offer you evidence for thinking that it's not the right thing to do? Maybe it does, but it seems like another possibility to consider here is that your intuition that pulling the switch might be a bad idea is actually a really good intuition to have, even if pulling the switch is the right thing to do. If you want to maximize the good, probably what you want to make sure that you're not doing is pulling the switch more often than you need to and killing more people than you should. And so actually maybe that discomfort is not evidence against utilitarianism, but is this nice little utilitarian check that you have in the back of your mind to make sure that you don't go too far, which of course would be rather bad. So for now, consider this possibility, that the answer to the most basic moral question about what right action is just what the utilitarian says. If the utilitarian is wrong, then really we need at least two things. Either we need a alternative theory of the good to replace this theory of happiness offered by John Stuart Mill, or maybe, and also, we need an alternative theory of right. Maybe you have in your mind already some different kinds of things which are right to do that aren't just maximizing happiness. And maybe in the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to get those intuitions to bubble up to the top. I'll do my best to stoke the fire in the meantime. Take care.